Let's play video game this or that. Opposites edition. Let's start with arguably the hardest category, the best cat game versus the best dog game. I think the best cat game is Stray and the best dog game is Okami. In Stray, you get to do all the standard cat things, rub up against people's legs, claw up carpets, and play frantically with toys. And in Okami, you get to do all the standard dog things like get pets, dig holes, and get peed on by other dogs. It's an impossible choice, but clearly Gordita and I here are biased, so we're going with Stray. Next, we have building up versus digging down. For building up, I went with City Skylines, and for digging down, I went with Donkey Kong Bonanza. City Skylines is one of the most revolutionary management games ever made, with a staggering amount of depth and creativity in its systems. Whereas Donkey Kong Bonanza was a 2025 Game of the Year contender that was all about digging, diving, and smashing your way toward the center of the planet. This is one of the most innovative 3D platformers to come out this generation, and it completely undermines so many of the traditional design conventions of this subgenre. So for this one, I'm gonna go with Donkey Kong Bonanza because I just think it fulfills that fantasy of digging to the center of the earth so well. Next, let's do fruits versus vegetables. Our two contenders here are going to be Fruit Ninja and Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion. Fruit Ninja is one of the highest selling games of all time. It has been ported to virtually every device with or without a screen. It's incredibly approachable and ends up being a lot of kids' first gaming experiences on their iPads. Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion is exactly what it sounds like. It is a vegetable committing a little bit of financial chicanery, with some rather hilarious puns to go with it. And low-key, Turnip Boy's kind of fruity, so I think it wins both categories here. And lastly, we have most successful versus biggest failure. The highest selling game of all time is Minecraft, which at the end of 2025 had sold 350 million copies. If we assume there's 8 billion people on this planet, that means 1 in 25 people owns a copy of Minecraft. Like, just try and imagine that for a second. And for biggest failure, I went with 1982's E.T. for the Atari 2600. And you may be asking, Devin, why didn't you pick a game like Concord that cost $100 million to make and sold just a few thousand copies? Surely that has to be the biggest failure. To which I reply, have you ever played a game that was so bad that it caused a 2-year recession in the video games industry? I'm being a little hyperbolic here, but this game was actually bad enough that it undermined so much consumer trust in the home console market that it caused a 97% decline in home console and video game sales in 1983. And to put this in context, imagine a game releasing this year that was so bad, it literally halted all console production, investment in video games went down to virtually nothing, and no games were getting made anymore. Like, it's unfathomable. So naturally, E.T. takes home the win as one of the biggest belly flops in video game history. Let me know what categories you'd like to see in part 2.